original, I'm fly, unpredictable, I'm nearly irresistible, and I don't even try. I'm easily excitable, completely undeniable, and sometimes unreliable. Don't ask me why, don't ask me why. I'm strange, not like it, that's just the way I am. I can't change, I can't hide it, that's just the way I am. Might as well get over it, but don't try to understand. I'm strange, not like it, just the way I am.
Hello people, this is my very first movie review ever, and I'm going to review one that a lot of people for some reason didn't like. Well, screw them. I liked it. Today we're going to be reviewing the 1998 Godzilla movie. This Godzilla movie was made by TriStar, and a lot of people freaked out. Now, I can understand some of their points, because frankly the movie really could have been done better. This was after Jurassic Park, and the CGI was substandard. But really, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be, and a lot of the points they've been making about how bad it is actually really stupid, and actually apply even more so to the original Godzilla. Speaking to that, I would like to point out right here and now that as much as people like to call this Godzilla the fake Godzilla, if you look at the original Godzilla, the very first movie, Godzilla, you can tell that every Godzilla has come after that one is fake. Especially those ones that look like they were rejected from the set of frickin' Power Rangers. I mean, seriously, those poses. But I digress. One of the key problems that a lot of people had with the American Godzilla movie is actually the last thing in the movie. The fact that Godzilla died. This is ridiculous because, again, in the original movie Godzilla died at the end of the movie. As a matter of fact, the American Godzilla movie, if compared against the original Godzilla movie, is actually truer to that movie than it is to any of those little fake comers after. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the other Godzilla movies. I'm a big Godzilla fan, but it disheartens me to see so many Godzilla fans dissing another incarnation of the monster. Another problem that a lot of people had was the fact that our Godzilla looked rather dinosaur-like. I mean, really? People are saying, oh, it looks too much like a dinosaur. Dude, if you know first thing about Godzilla, you know that in the original backstory, Godzilla was an irradiated dinosaur. As a matter of fact, considering the time period it was made, that was what dinosaurs were thought to have looked like. But after about 30-40 years worth of actual discovery, they know that dinosaurs didn't stand upright and have their tails dragging along the ground. So they made one upgraded into what would be more Saurian. On top of that, they gave it a slightly more realistic spin on the story because, unlike in the original, Godzilla didn't come from a dinosaur exactly, but it came from a reptile. Or a compilation of reptiles, as Nick Totopoulos had pointed out. And considering dinosaurs evolved from reptiles, it's not too far removed to assume that this thing could have mutated up from some. Another problem a lot of people had was the fact that this Godzilla did a lot of running, as opposed to the other Godzillas that actually just did a lot of rampaging. But if you actually examine the fight sequences where he was doing all this running, you actually see that it wasn't cowardice, it was common sense and planning. I mean, seriously, let's put you in the place of Gulliver's Travels. If you were Gulliver and a bunch of Lilliputians were shooting at you and actually had the potential of hurting you doing this, would you stand there and fight, or would you retreat and try to come up with a better plan? Well, I know one thing, and I did that when I was being attacked by bees. And this is what this Godzilla did. It ran away but it also turned around and fought. Coming up with clever traps and actually using his mind rather than just his brute strength. Another thing is that people don't like the breath weapon. I must admit the breath weapon was very underused in this movie and could have stood to be used more. But I also cite that he did actually use his fire breath, although a lot of people claim that it was just flammable breath because he looked like he just breathed on a car and it spontaneously exploded. First off, the original Godzilla, the breath was more of an atomic mist than an actual beam or fire. That evolved later on in the genre. And if anybody saw a Rain of Fire, you know that the fire doesn't start immediately out of the throat. It combusts before or just after leaving the mouth. Another thing that a lot of people had a problem with, and I honestly can't believe they did, was the babies. Yes, the baby Godzillas. First off, I would like to point out right here and now that after that roly-poly thing that looks like the love child of E.T. and the baby Barriss Offee from the 90s Land of the Lost series, they have nothing to complain about. Those little shits were powerful, strong, and they kicked major butt while they were around. They were lethal from hatching, and there were a bunch of them. Whereas the various incarnations of the baby Godzilla were, for the most part, really useless. I mean, if you look at, I believe the movie was Destroy All Monsters. Godzilla actually had to turn him around and kick him square in the butt to get him to join the fight. And then all he did was shoot little stun rings. Really? Stun rings? Ugh. And don't even get me started on the old Hanna-Barbera animated series with Godzuki. Oh, God.